6:55. 6:55. Go yelling at you.
Thank you.
No, she's who you wanna.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we're allowed to go live for 30 minutes. Me too.
Where's the other one?
Yeah, I like the red one.
So we had this beautiful, Howard excited with color on Saturday morning. Come on, kids. Come on, Howard. I know. So tired. Well, it's got to be a suck for you, man. Your team gets home and your favorite team.
Get the shivers every time this one pops up here.
Just one. I used to do it.
Oh man, my wheels are gonna fall off in the third game.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
So they're
I
saying
bought it
four.
or whatever, unhinged.
Burke,
Yep, we got him.
you have him up?
Sean actually popped his head in here and said,
Right there. I didn't
said,
even look at it.
Really enjoyed that.
he was gonna send Christian Ward to the SEC Network, and I was like, well, they're not doing anything after this game. They don't do it until the last game or something. Well, I'm gonna save him because he's done a ton of media.
I love that new stash, man.
Just means more.
I hate you guys.
Just means more.
I hate you guys.
Oh, no, ain't that
Yeah, that just means more.
Those guys can come do whatever.
Yeah.
There's like not. There's daytime, so hopefully I can go to the pool.
Tomorrow? Get all day tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I've been there for 13 days and I haven't.
When I said that, I realized that sounded really.
I'm going to Lincoln.
You're going to Lincoln tomorrow?
I'm at Rule.
I got to get with Dane. I got to get with Troy. I haven't talked to him yet. Have you?
Troy?
Yeah, I've known Troy for like 20 years.
Everybody's done it for like 20 years.
Yeah, he was FCS.
His best friends are all SIDs and sports nerds.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my kind of guy.
When I last year, I did the World University Games in China. I was in the U.S. Public Relations, and we lost our men's basketball program. First thing I called Troy, I said, Troy, you want to go to China? And 26 hours later, they were signed a deal, and they were our men's basketball team.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah.
They were looking to get him on short notice like that.
I know they were a little upset with him.
Well, I think the Browns do a better job. It depends on who you are.
Oh, I think so too.
He's from Iowa.
Yeah, he's home. It was out of his. I don't think it was. It was a too quick for him out there.
Well, I was just listening to him on a video. That's the one that's in my head. Still posting vibrating leaves.
They won the bronze.
Seacrest, who's a space cadet. So it's a yin and yang. Got it.
As we wait, the next game will start at 6:55. First pitch will be 6:55 for Texas A&M in Florida. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us, Coach and players. First and foremost, congratulations, clinching the berth into the Men's College World Series Finals. If you could give us a quick opening statement about today's game.
Yeah, I'm still trying to grasp what happened. We got hustle and bustle there with y'all putting on 3 games, and thank goodness it's going fairly well. 3 games in one day is tough, but a heck of a day to have in Omaha. And us being the sandwich game, like I said, I think it's one of the weirdest games I've ever been a part of. Maybe we came out on the winning end because we have one of the weirdest pitchers I've ever been around, and Xander, and he threw the ball really well and led us into the battle the way that he should. But both teams struck a bunch of balls very well. Both teams made some great defensive plays, and both teams have explosive lineups that kind of leave you on the edge of your seat, at least where I was standing. So hopefully the fans felt that way too and got their money's worth. And if you're a Florida State fan, you obviously got your money's worth all year long, in particular the year that it was for them, remembering a legend as their former coach.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open now for questions for the players. Yeah.
Blake, can you just walk us through that double play that got you out of the third inning?
Was that the one where I stepped on the bag and threw it over?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've had a couple of those plays this year where I messed up by hitting the runner, throwing the second, and he gets on me about clearing the lane, and I just touched the base, threw it over, had a lane, and Dean was there to tag him out.
Think you had it in time before think you had it in time before the run was going to score when it happened live?
I have no clue.
Questions for the players right here?
Matt Towery from World Baseball Network. Xander, to keep at bat with 6 of the third innings, striking out 3 batters with the 25 batters you faced of the FSU offense. What was just the chemistry you and Stark had today that got you clicking on all cylinders?
Well, watching some of the games that FSU was playing, I knew they were going to be aggressive and they're obviously an aggressive offense. They're loaded throughout. And I noticed that, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to attack. And if they swing first pitch, they swing first pitch. But, yeah, Stark and I mean, we talk a little bit, but not too much. But it's more during the game that we talk and figure out stuff. But overall, great dude, and I'm glad we got the win today.
Go back. Another question.
Xander, what was it like facing this Tennessee lineup back in the fall?
I mean, speechless, I guess. I mean, I remember in the Fall World Series, it was kind of like that. SEMO took me over the wall at the Smokies Stadium. And obviously, facing Burke, we like to joke that one person has each other each day. Either he goes 2 for 2 or I get him out twice. So it's a little bit in between. And you have Billy there. I mean, Clemson transfer. I mean, he's a threat. I mean, we're just loaded throughout the lineup. And obviously, it prepares you for moments like this, especially with FSU's lineup. You kind of think back to the fall and how you got, for example, how I got Burke out or Billy out. And you just put that forth and compete with what you got.
Xander, I guess this would be the second consecutive game y'all have had a center fielder just kind of try to run through the wall. I mean, when you're on the mound, I'm sure you want to win anyway, but does that put a little juice in you at that point?
Yeah, I mean, KT's catch today kind of set the tone, especially when it was in the first inning. And I know our offense scored in the top of the first, but, I mean, he set the tone right there. I mean, Dingus hit a good ball, or Dingus, or however you say his last name. But, it's hard. But, he put a good swing on it. I mean, he hit it at 1,000 miles an hour out there. But KT running the ball kind of set the tone for today.
You say that dude's name wrong, he could rip you in half.
Yeah, but there's one guy that we won't talk about.
Any other questions for the players? Well, one more right here.
Blake, walk us through the pitch if you could on that home run. Just kind of, I know you've been, barreling up a couple and finally got that one elevated. What was that pitch and what were you looking for?
First couple of pitches, he threw me a couple of fastballs and then a changeup, and then out of nowhere threw that slider, and it was nasty. It was a back foot slider, and I kind of told him good pitch, so I kind of did that just so I can get it again, because I knew it was coming, and I fouled the fastball off, and I kind of knew that pitch was coming, so I was prepared for it, and I got my barrel on it.
Gentlemen, congrats on the victory. You can be excused.
Good job, fellas.
We'll open for questions, starting right here with Coach.
Yeah, Tony. After getting close the last few years, what's the emotions like for you, and now getting a chance to take this team into the championship series?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. There's a lot of hustle and bustle, like I said, after the game, and then also you want to manage it as well as you can. It's interesting the position we put ourselves in. Kirby, Snead, Combs, and there's others too, but those have kind of been our main 3 guys. Are fresh as a daisy, if you were watching Tombstone. And Xander's just throwing the heck out of it and got a really low pitch count. So just kind of want to always make sure I'm doing my part and putting these guys in a good position to succeed. But Xander wouldn't let you take the ball out of his hand today, and we decided to utilize those guys. So that's just kind of where my head's at, I guess. It's not a great answer. But, it is cool to see a cultivation of just like Burke's development and Kirby being a mainstay of this program and Xander, his contribution over. So there's we kind of always say before something happens, and there's been a lot of build up into the successes we've had this year and the failures too, to be honest with you. And it's just been fun to be a part of. And as far as my emotions, I'm kind of at the point where I'm just following these guys. There's certain tasks that I have to do, and There's direction that I give them, and they'll listen, but kind of following them right now makes it nice.
So we'll go 1 and 2.
You talked about the game being weird, but just how significant was getting out of that third inning unscathed, and how kind of peculiar was that sequence?
Yeah, it was nuts. I'm not even quite sure what happened on Dean's play. He made such a good play. He got a great first step. On the ball he made an error on, he got a great first step, too. It was almost too good. He was moving so fast, and, what happened, but he put himself in a great position to go to option A or option B, and you always take option A as, protecting home plate. And then the next play, just an outstanding job by Xander of keeping his composure. And then as much as we'd like to take back either a couple errors or, we did give up a few free bases, which is, not necessarily, well, I guess one. The guys played really good defense. I mean, KT's catch was incredible. And there's an exclamation point on, I think you guys were the ones that asked me earlier in the year, can he play center field? The guy went, Jordan Beck did it too. The coach tells you can't do something, and you need to bow up. You need to be respectful to the coach, but you need to bow up to the situation. And he's been a maniac in the outfield during BP. I grew up watching Willie McGee, and he was so good defensively, but if you were able to go to BP, it kind of all started there. I mean, he treated BP like a game, and that's how KT is. And he can play any of those 3 spots as well as anybody, I feel, in our conference, is at least what I know well, maybe even the country.
I want to ask about that third inning, too, the play that Dean made and the play that Blake made. You talk a lot about maturity. Are those the type of plays that a mature baseball team makes this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, Dean will give you a smirk, and, there are a few things that go in the freshman category, but he's oddly mature for his age and physically mature, too. But by this point in the season, you should kind of be a sophomore if you're a freshman. And then, I don't know how many postseason games Blake has been able to be a part of as well as others. And even Xander didn't get to pitch here last year, but he's seen so many of them and now been a part of them too. It benefits you. And again, I always say, you can do something for the first time and still have success. But I think there's some contributions there for sure of our guys kind of relying on the past to be mature and have experience and know what to do in different situations. But the other thing is, too, I'm very blessed with a support staff that's insanely good. We've stuck together regardless of what goes on, good, bad. Maybe I'll make a snide comment here and there, but we've stuck together and incredibly close. And from my standpoint, why we're close is because I want to win. And I think we do have success because of those guys. And in turn, these players, this group of players will listen as well as I can't think of a group that compares to it. They'll listen as well as anyone. So that to me is mature, is taking direction, even though you are an experienced player or you're really talented or whatever it might be. And I feel like the guys given direction are really good.
Tony, I guess kind of careers and seasons with everybody kind of evolve and take turns and all that stuff. The past 4 or 5 starts for Sechrist have been big spots with something on the line, and they've all been good. Like, at what point did you think that he couldn't just be a weekend guy, but be this kind of guy?
I think when, again, Blake mentioned he's made some mistakes on a particular play, and he bounces back. And I kind of wanted to answer for him there. The homer came after an at-bat where he had a guy at third base and 1 out, and, that's a pretty dang good spot for Blake Burke to be in. Having said that, if you go back, Oxford might have thrown his very best 3 pitches all in 1 at-bat to Blake. But to me, I think he hit the ball so hard the next day because he was determined to have a bounce-back at-bat. And I think Xander being frustrated with me a couple different times where he came out of the game earlier than he should have. Again, you bow up. I've never had a day in my life where Xander's anywhere close to being disrespectful to me. But there's a way you do it on the field where you show this is what I can do. And the old actions speak louder than words. So I think there's many examples with this team. I mentioned it with KT's defense too, where it doesn't go as well as the guys want. Nate Snead was not in the top 5 or 6 guys in the fall. He was very unhappy. He showed it on his face, and we talked about it, and he went to work. And I think that's a big part of where we're at right now.
We're there and there.
Going back to the preseason or even in the fall, did you anticipate this team having the power numbers that they have?
No, but I don't know that I've applied myself in that manner. Coach Elander will, and it's because it's near and dear to his heart. He did it. He knows how to do it. He works on it with the guys, but it's never a huge stressor. I mean, look at today. I mean, how many home runs could you argue were hit on a day where the wind's blowing out or we're playing in a smaller park? So sometimes it doesn't happen for you the way that you want, but we knew our guys would take consistently good swings. We knew they were very physical, and we knew we'd have some depth. And, Reese didn't have the best day today, but it's kind of nice being able to put Ensley in that DH spot and feel good about it.
Yeah, I think after the sixth inning, Xander had 66 pitches, and Florida State's guys had 120. It was similar to what happened against North Carolina the other night, too. I'm curious how much you think the pitch selection, the way you guys work counts, has contributed to the success hitting all season, but especially here.
Yeah, it's another thing. I mean, I don't know where we stack up with walk totals and stuff like that. It's not necessarily stressed, but it is stressed to have competitive at-bats throughout. And if you take pitches off, you may get away with it in your at-bat, or your day may look good on the box score, but maybe you're hurting the guys behind you. And some of those at-bats were not necessarily productive, again, on the stat sheet. But I do think when everyone in the lineup hooks it up, then it just makes everybody better. Some greater than the parts is the cliche I used the other day, and I think it fits with this group in particular. And it's been really fun to see. I'm kind of staring now. The top of the order was really good today. But as I've said before, there's parts of the year where it's more just the middle, the bottom, and it alternates. And it makes it a headache for the other team, kind of like they were for us up and down the lineup. Alex hits that homer, and Cantu did as well. It's nice to have that weapon on offense.
Coach, again, congratulations. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, exactly.
We'll find someone we'll agree with.
Yeah.
Did it take Kentucky long enough to get off the field after the game? Kept on going on and on and on.
Thank you.
Mine was like I've officially got myself across the room on now. Never been situation on that. You gonna do a little laundry? If I can. Yeah, just a couple of those.
Coach and players, first and foremost, congrats on a great year. If you could please give us an opening statement about today's game.
That's a good team in the other dugout, clearly. Well-constructed, variety of arms, physical offensively, dynamic, athletic. They made some exceptional plays. You could basically go around the diamond and make note of the exceptional plays they made. I don't think the score wasn't reflective of some of the quality of the at-bats with really nothing to show for it, and we may have swung the bat today as well in areas as we did in the tournament with little to show. And that's part of it, and that's why it's difficult to, in some cases, get here and win games on this stage when the other team can pitch and has enough athleticism to make so many of those above-average plays. We did not get out of the gate well. Again, against them, we found ourselves in a little bit of a hole. Oxford settled things down. I think Joe pitched great. One of the longest outings of his season in career. It was on it. The slider was good. The fastball velocity stayed there. The 2 home runs clearly were a little jolt, but it wasn't enough. And that's unfortunate. This was the most dynamic team I've coached. The personality, the dynamic nature of the personalities on this team made it something that I think was fun for people to watch. The way they played the game, played at it. They played the game hard and with personality. And I think that made it enjoyable for myself, watching these guys do their thing. Programmatically, start of this year, and winning whatever it was, 19 or 20 games in a row, was clearly out of the starting blocks as good as I've ever seen. And surviving Leiter and Whitaker being down, 2 of our other pitchers never made it to the mound, and this had a really special look to it. And everybody's going to absorb some blows on the mound. If we can ever get to the bottom of some of the arm issues that we face in this sport, that would be a great day. I don't know what it is, but we all face it, and you try to absorb it and move forward, which is exactly what these guys did. ACC Player of the Year, I haven't coached a better hitter. I haven't coached a better person in all walks of life. And some of these guys don't realize it, but as they help the program, they help themselves in quite a way in terms of their baseball futures. And you guys probably know that better than I do. It's not easy to get here. That walk in here is great. That walk out is very difficult. It's very difficult. And had a few of those balls landed differently or a couple feet one way or another in a different directions. I think this is a much tighter game. I'm not saying we deserve to win the game, but it was close to being far different than it felt today. And their senior lefty, they might have senior and a grad. Those guys pitch, they navigate, they pitch, and they did a good job in their defense. I know neither team played really clean, but I think the athleticism on display on both sides was exceptional. And I told you on the outset, the college game has never been played better than it is right now, and you saw that. You've seen it, and that's a fact.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open questions for the players now. Any questions? First right here.
James, just since you've been here for 3 years, just how have you seen the program grow since the time you got here and since the time Link has taken over the program?
Yeah, I think, I think first off, oftentimes we see people give glory to God in the good times, but I'm going to give glory to God in the tough times too. He's blessed me with the opportunity to be at the best university in the country, and he's blessed me with the opportunity to play with a bunch of great guys and a great coach, one that I believe in and one that I believe will get it done. In 3 years, this program has seen quite the turn. It's been hard, it's been fun, and it's been everything in between. And I'll never be able to thank Coach, the coaching staff, and all the people that have made this possible enough for believing in me and for allowing me to be a part of it. The verse I've been preaching all year is Proverbs 16:9, and it says, "Man plans his path, but the Lord establishes his steps." And this isn't quite how I thought it would go, but I'm so blessed to be a part of this team and this year.
Jake McKeever, College Baseball Central. James and Joe, there were a ton of memorable moments along the way for this Florida State team. What are some of the ones that stand out to you, too?
I mean, I would just say every single day that I got to spend with these guys, the entire, everything that goes into the program, the coaches, the staff, everyone really made every single day a special day. And I think that's also why we had so much success on the field, is because we really just approached every single day, day by day. And it's just every single day, I guess.
Yeah, I think you spend enough time with a group of people, you either love them or you hate them. That's easy. I've never loved a group of guys as much as I've had this year, and to be able to just go through every day, like Joe said, like bus trips and the tornadoes and the sweeps, or whatever it may be. Watching this group grow and come together, it was like nothing I've ever seen, and so that's what I'll take away from this year for sure.
The last two questions, players here and there.
Joe, not a lot of guys sort of navigate through that Tennessee lineup with 4 or 5 innings and give up just one earned run. Kind of what did you see from the scouting report, and what were you able to execute that made you able to do that?
Coach Posey is the best pitching coach I've ever had the pleasure to work with, and I have a lot of trust in him, and he trusts me, and he just radios in those pitches, and I just try to execute them as well as I can. And so, I mean, the credit's got to go to the coaches that are doing all the scouting and kind of putting me in the best position to have success and make my job easier. I just got to go make those good pitches.
Last question for the players.
Kurt Weiler, the Osceola. Joe, your journey to get where you are now, and obviously not the ending you wanted, but what does it mean? I mean, the season you've been a part of and getting to pitch on that stage today.
I'm just so thankful for Florida State University and everybody involved that I'm such a different person from my first day on campus, just so much for the better. And I couldn't be more thankful for the coaches, the staff, my teammates. Getting to play in Omaha was something that was really cool, and getting to compete with these guys, and just every day the motivation is just fighting for another day to play with these guys. And I think that's what made it all so special, was getting to do it with these guys.
James and Joe, thank you very much for your time and how you represent college baseball. We appreciate it. Thank you. You guys can be excused. We'll open up questions for Coach, starting right back here.
Coach, just wondering what you said to your team after the game in that meeting.
I told them they were the most dynamic group I've coached, and that goes personality, heart, the way they played, the style, the physicality of that group. It was just fun. They made every day fun, and it becomes more fun when you can stack the quality of play that we saw them stack throughout the beginning part of the season, the middle part of the season, and the postseason. It was remarkable. And there's 26 new guys on the team. There were times in coaching I didn't have 26 players on the team overall. That was 26 new people involved in this, and their willingness to buy into what was going on is tricky. You feel like in this day and age, in some respects, with the ability to have that much movement, it's hard to get your system into that locker room and onto that field and actually feel like you can function in this sort of game. So for those individuals to jump in here and acclimate and come together, and you know how much these guys love each other, you can feel it, and you can watch them play. They play with passion for each other and the game. So that's what I told them. And I told him walking in here is amazing and walking out is extremely difficult, and it's hard for me too. And I understand that. And we just stood there and took it in a little bit. And it was emotional, and it is so hard to get here. It's hard. It's very hard. And the challenge of getting here is equaled by how difficult it is to walk off that field.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Link, you obviously saw Tennessee's team in 22 near this time of year, and now to see them 2 years later. What do you feel like the difference, if anything, is that's allowing them to be successful right now?
I think the profile of their pitching staff was a lot different in 22. They had starters that they kind of ran at you, and then they pieced it together at the end with some guys. Some of the guys, I think, were involved in that. It seems like they can piece it together for an entire game if they need to, and don't lean on specific starting pitchers on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday to try to get you 6 or 7 innings. So the ability to onboard enough quality players to have the opportunity to extend through your bullpen if you needed to, and quite frankly, they basically did it on Friday. Sechrist pitched great today, but I think they were ready, if need be, to go get him. So it just seems like, of all the things that stand out, the construction of the pitching staff probably is the biggest difference that I noticed. Good arms, just a variety of different arms, where in that setting, I can't remember exactly who it was, Dolander, and you may know the other guys. It was more established. You're getting these 3 guys and then the bullpen. Here, it was just the barrage of different looks, lefties, righties, deception in the delivery, really good use of the secondary pitches. It wasn't necessarily the pure velocity and the wipeout stuff that at times in 22 you probably sensed. But well constructed, and you can't map it out to know that this is how you want to do it every year. It may not, from a health perspective or personnel perspective, the draft, the things that you have to deal with to actually get to the season and endure the season, I think that's the biggest difference, is just the construction and use of the pitching staff. And Frank and Tony, they do a good job. Frank's been doing this a long time, and he navigates and calls a good game. And Tony clearly has a handle on what he's doing with that program. They're in a very good position.
1, 2, 3.
Lincoln, new job as a baseball coach. How difficult can it be to try to accept things that you can't control, like balls getting laced and getting caught? And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things your team can't control, but at the end of the day, it's baseball.
That's how hard it is to get here. You have to have so many things go correctly in these short spurt postseason events that we have in play in college baseball. It's one line out in a regional or super regional or something quirky that happens, and you're not even here. So it is part of, I guess, the beauty of the sport is sometimes the intent and how you perform in that moment when you're hitting or pitching may not always get you the result, because there are variables that are not controllable, and where you hit line drives and how hard you hit them, that's part of the beauty of the game, and I think is what makes it so unique. Now, clearly, I mean, they're positioning their players and know what they're doing. There is still a variable in it that's very difficult to control, and to watch Marco and some of the guys up and down the lineup that just absolutely, from an exit velocity standpoint, probably could do no more with not much to show. So it's the beauty of the game. It also is what makes it very difficult when you go through that and feel like at times you're doing exactly what you set out to do and the result doesn't match.
Like, you felt this before as a player at Florida State, obviously as a coach too, but with those different perspectives, how does it hit in your shoes now as the head coach at Florida State? But obviously also, how do you help your team deal with what just happened and help the program use this?
Well, I told the assistant coaches the other day when we were off, I said, write down everything that you feel in every one of these games, every detail that you think matters, and what type of player you have to recruit to get here consistently and then win here. When you're here, all of a sudden it's a different game. To get here, the depth on the mound is so critical. Once you're here, it's how dynamic are a handful of those arms. So it changes. So you have to build it for both. You have to have enough depth, but then you also have to make sure you have some really capable, dynamic pieces to wipe out some of the stuff that happens in these games, and the strikeout is a huge part of that. So it's very difficult to leave here, and I've had to deal with this a lot. I'm also very fortunate to have been here as a coach a couple times and with 2 programs and as a player. You try to learn every time, and the health is part of it. I'm sure if you ask any of the coaches, they had some really tough injury losses. How do you overcome that? I think about the fall all the time. What do you do with some of these arms in the fall? When you look at what we have coming back and what we have coming in, it's got a chance to be really special on the mound. How do you handle that? So you're reflecting on how you get your work, how you keep them healthy, when do you push them, when do you back off, how do you manage your preseason, how do you structure who pitches in the middle of the week and your relief stuff. It's a complicated thought process for me to try to build it correctly. So as I've gone through it, as a player, it was always, what can I do better to make sure when my number's called at the plate, in the field, helping lead a team, that I can get it done. And then as a coach, you have a very similar feeling to walk out of there. It's eerily similar, but you're looking at different issues to try to solve so that you can get it right. And the transfer stuff, we sat in our hotel rooms as a coaching staff and tried to navigate the guys in the portal, the 4,500 players in the portal, to try to get it right. And it's more clear when you're in this moment here playing in it, can that guy help you? Is that guy what we need? So you're trying to solve it as a coach, and how you build and how you teach and how you manage the team and strategize it and call pitches and run an offense. It's different than what you were doing as a player, clearly, but the feeling of it is equally as difficult in both respects.
Last couple, 1, 2, and 3, and that'll be it.
Like, just what went into the decision to start John, and how tough of a decision is it? Sorry, with Jamie on only 4 days rest, was that an option for you at all, or was it just a?
We talked to him. He was not ready to go. He wasn't really ready to go. And John, when you've seen it, when the breaking ball is working, he's pitched in an extended role against some really, really good teams. And you expect that this is clearly new for him to be in this setting. You expect them still as competitors to go give you their A stuff. Now, we didn't get off the bag real well on Burke's ball. We looked flat-footed. We didn't handle the ground ball at third to turn a double play. So there were some self-inflicting moments that really didn't give us much of a chance to feel like we could let him try to work through it. He's a really good young arm that's going to impact us for a long time. So the positive of what clearly didn't go well was he's felt it and tasted it and been on the stage, and I think that goes a long way. Could you start Oxford? Whitaker? We didn't want to start Whit, and we've asked a lot of him. We were trying to pick a moment where maybe he could help us in a short spurt. We thought Johnny could extend. He's been extended, and maybe he could give us 45, 50, 60 pitches. And we didn't support him enough out of the gates.
Hey, sorry, we just got time for one more right here.
From a year ago, 23 wins to now 49, I guess, going in now to this offseason, how do things change to go from being here to try to be here again, or is it trying to find the same approach of just the right guys and the right fits and things like that?
Well, when you can acquire some experienced freshmen, that helps. And I think the guys going into their sophomore year that have played and have felt it, so you get a little time, when you onboard a grad student or somebody that has 1 year, the turnover's coming. So I like what we've done. Now, we need Leiter to be healthy. We need Jamie Arnold to be healthy. And we've got some good young arms coming in, some JUCO guys. We've gotten 3 transfer arms out of the portal. There's other pieces that we need to add when you look at the puzzle and where do we need to fit those athletes. So how I felt a year ago when I looked at what we needed to try to grab and how I feel now you're grabbing what you think gets you the trophy here. Last year, you're trying to build a roster, a competitive roster that's more athletic, that has some depth, that had some left-handed bats, that had some better arm options. Now, and that's why I told the coaches, right, think about everything you feel like you need right now. Some of it may be out there and available. When you were able to grab some younger players, you know now, as opposed to last year, there's some guys that walk back in knowing exactly what's going on in the program and what it's like to run through an ACC tournament and do well, and the regional and do really well, and the super regional and do well, and compete here. So totally different feel, but my mindset has not changed. It is what can we do to figure out a way to win this, including trying to keep the guys healthy on the mound.
Coach, again, thanks for everything you do for college baseball, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Said that feeling's the same way.